welcome to Young Money. It's that time of the year again when the Young Money team partners with Forbes Africa to bring you some of the most exciting entrepreneurs who've made it into the 30 under 30 list. Now, this is what the copy looks like. So if you haven't got one yet, you need to get your hands on this. This is Africa's future business titans. These are the captains of industry that are going to be shaping the African landscape as we move on from today. So I'm really lucky today that I'm going to start off a conversation with Mike Chilewa Jr. And Mike is the founder of Chilewa Brands. He's here with us in Johannesburg. And of course, he is one of the Forbes Africa 30 under 30 finalists. And as we've said, these are some of our brightest, hungriest, and most successful entrepreneurs under the age of 30. After the break, we bring you an even more interesting conversation with Elijah Lubala, who is the founder of Nasera Real Estate. Let's meet Mike. Mike, thank you very much for making the time to join us. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
27, so you've got a little bit of bandwidth left before you hit 30.
True.
But you have been a serial entrepreneur of note. Walk us through that journey.
Well, I'm Malawian by birth, but I'm based here in South Africa. I moved here last year. I'm in real estate, commercial real estate, and I'm in manufacturing, commodity trading, agriculture in Malawi, and we're now getting into financial services. So I was born in a family business where I learned business. My father would always say, don't look for employment, you have to create employment. So basically, that's me.
So right from the get-go, you've always started off with the mind of creating employment, and now the portfolio is growing, and I'm going to talk through a little bit of that portfolio. But what was the first business?
My first business was in college when I asked my dad for a computer. He said, figure it out. So I figured it out.
Not the answer you were hoping for, no?
No, not really. And he had the money to give me to buy a computer. So. Yeah. I sat down in college and I started selling my meal coupons. In a college, when you're eating, you sign off your meals. So I would discount them and sell them to people. So I raised money, started selling blank CDs. That time, blank CDs were the thing. Yeah. So I was selling blank CDs from my room. Then, boom, it expanded up to the point that I bought shares in a telecommunications company when it was listing back in the days, which is some of the proud moments that I treasure.
That's absolutely phenomenal. And today you talk about a multi-sectoral focus in terms of where the business is going. Talk to us a little bit about why you've decided to look at many sectors instead of focusing and going in depth in one particular space.
I think as an entrepreneur, you look at opportunities and you look at how you can make an impact on this life. What I live by, I say there's only enough, there's some little money that you need to survive, but you need to create an impact. So I say you can't create an impact with one sector, and we can't shake one sector only. You have to put a few eggs in a few baskets.
So you're doing the Warren Buffett rule. You're making sure that you're balancing the risk and having your eggs in multiple baskets.
Exactly.
Dad seems to be a big influence in your journey as an entrepreneur. If you were to go back to your relationship and the conversations with him, what has been pieces of advice that he's shared with you that have stood you and helped you navigate the world of entrepreneurship?
I think the biggest advice my dad always, he always tells me all the time, like every week, he says, nothing is impossible. And he calls himself a lion, and he says, a lion of a lion, a son of a lion is a lion, so don't disappoint me, and you're not going to disappoint me. So it's always been a pushing factor to say, most people think my dad gave me capital, but the biggest capital he gave me is the advice and teaching me how to do business. Because when I was young, he would take me to meetings, to meet CEOs. He would be doing meetings, I would just be watching. So it's always been that type of influence that I've had from him, and I thank God I've got a father like him.
Absolutely. And if we think about the journey, we're always tempted to talk about this moment, the moment where you're one of the Forbes Africa 30 under 30s. But I want us to go back to the lowest moments, the most challenging moments in your journey. What has really pushed you to self-reflect and be like, whoa, this was a tough moment?
I got married when I was 23. I've never regretted that fact. I love my beautiful wife. But I've had lowest moments in business where I've partnered with the wrong people, and I've lost it all before to people because of wrong partnerships. And lost it all to a point that you have all your property taken, everything in the house taken by sheriffs. So it's been a learning curve for me.
And that must be difficult with being a young family as well, to go through that experience.
Exactly. You know, I would wake up at 2 a.m., look at my wife, she's sleeping peacefully. I'm like, why is she still with me? Because I was really at the low point. But I said, I can't give up. I have to make things happen. I can't go look for a job. I need to create employment. I owe it to the world. So those lowest moments have pushed me. I've said, I don't want to be there anymore. So I keep learning every day. It's a learning journey. And
your proudest?
My proudest, we've raising some capital. I think we raised about $5.5 million in 2016 for a certain acquisition. We didn't finish it, but I still keep the approvals and stuff from the funders. I feel great that I was able to raise that type of money as a young person, and people trusting me that we can do something on it.
Absolutely, and that's a phenomenal amount for a young person. And again, as we talk about the business and going back into the portfolios, sounds like you're also quite active in terms of acquiring other business and other opportunities. What's the pipeline looking like? What are you most excited about for the business?
I'm very fascinated with acquisitions. I love to see opportunities, as you've said, like Buffett, to see a good company, if we can be able to acquire it and turn it around. Mostly I'm very fascinated with turnarounds. I love turnarounds because I see a good price. We can pay a good price for something and turn it around and maybe even sell it for something. Like I bought a radio station before in Malawi. We turned it around, sold it to an NGO. So it's really been fascinating. So in the pipeline, we've got quite a number of deals. We've got quite a number of properties, commercial properties.
You're not getting on what the deals are. I promise you we're not going to steal your deals.
No. But we signed confidentiality and disclosures with the people we're doing business with up until we finish the deals. So we've got quite a number of deals. Actually, one of them is a 10-floor building that's here in South Africa that we almost done with acquiring it. So it's really...
We'll keep a lookout for it, and hopefully it will make a big splash in the media space as well.
Most definitely.
You talk a lot about the home country, Malawi, and obviously you're operating here in South Africa as well. How broad and continental are you, and where do you see the most exciting business opportunities in Africa? Is it Malawi, is it South Africa, or are there other markets that we should be looking at?
I think Africa, the whole of it has got opportunities. Like we always say, we shouldn't take Africa as a country. Each country has got its own unique opportunities. So I look at like my home country. One of the biggest reasons why I've moved from Malawi, just to tell you, interest rate in Malawi is 35% to 40% from the bank.
Right.
And most banks are owned by foreign companies like Standard Bank, your Nedbank. So for me, when I go there to raise capital, they would say we have to check with headquarters, which was here in South Africa. And I figured to say, why don't I just move to the headquarters? So when I'm talking to them, I'm right there.
What's the saying? If the mountain won't come to you, you've got to go to the mountain yourself.
Go to the mountain and figure out how to eat out that mountain. So Africa has got a lot of opportunities. We operate, we do business in Zimbabwe, we do business in Zambia. Right now, we're actually going to DRC. It's pretty exciting. I'm actually also, from here, I'm actually going to Botswana. We're looking at how we can eat the African pie. I was
about to say, are you sure you want to be quoted as eating? But, you know, your African footprint is really impressive as a young entrepreneur. And we always hear even established businesses saying breaking into African markets, it's just so difficult. If you could give pieces of advice to entrepreneurs who want to go continental, given the fact that Africa is made up of so many different markets, what pieces of advice would those be?
The biggest advice for young entrepreneurs who want to go into other countries, firstly, pack up your bag, go to the country you want to branch to, and have a feel yourself. Most people lose it when they just go on the media. You know, if you go online, there's too much fake news out there. You think, oh, there's war, there's hunger, there's what. You go to most of these countries, you find that the peaceful business is moving. So when you get on the ground and you interact with the locals, your age mates, you find that it's easy to do business in Africa. Like, unlike the way it's put up. Maybe it's not easy for huge companies, but for young entrepreneurs who are hungry like me, who always say, I'm going there, let me go and see myself. It's pretty easy.
So first step you say is get into the local market, get into the ground, start having conversations around the opportunities you're pursuing. What do you think has been one of the biggest mistakes you've made in your journey? And if you could undo it, you would?
I think my biggest mistake was trusting someone who was out of Malawi with my money. And turned out it was a fake type of person where we lost money, then didn't get trace of them. So that's why I'm saying you need to get on the ground, because that money was my only savings at time.
Sure.
Lost
so
it
that
all.
Was a huge loss.
Exactly, it was a very huge loss. But as I always say, if you're falling down, you better fall down looking up, because if you can look up, you can get up.
Well, there you have it. If you're falling down, you better fall down while you're looking up, because if you're looking up, you can get up. And that is from Mike Chilewe Jr. He is the founder of Chilewe Brands. What a beautiful story. And in particular, I love what his dad says. He says, you are the son of a lion. And of course, that is something I'm not going to forget. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're speaking to Elijah Lubala, founder of Nasera Real Estate. Welcome back to Young Money. If you've just joined us, this is our special episode where the Young Money team and Forbes Africa 30 under 30 list come together to bring you some of the most exciting entrepreneurs on the African continent. If you haven't got your copy already, you really need to do that. The copy is out, and certainly really inspirational stories and inspirational entrepreneurs coming through. We're doing you one better. We're bringing you some of the most exciting of these entrepreneurs on the show. Well, now we're about to speak with Elijah Lubala, who is the founder of Nasera Real Estate. So, Elijah, thank you for making the time to join us. Founder of real estate, but the thing you've brought us doesn't seem to have anything to do with property. So I'm guessing you have been an entrepreneur of note with hands in different projects. Yes. So let me allow you to walk us through what is Elijah busy with and what are the businesses that you're running.
Firstly, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your time. My name is Elijah Lubala, as you've pointed out. I run Nasera Real Estate, and I also run energy and as well media. I run a company called Nasera Group. We have diversified investments in real estate, energy, and media, and this in particular is one of our inventions. Yeah. It's a hanging light, reading light, torch light. It can charge your mobile phone, and you put a SIM card inside, and it broadcasts Wi-Fi for 10 devices.
All right, so that was really quick. I can charge my mobile phone. I can use it as a light.
Yes, you can use it as a light, right? Hanging light, reading light, torch light. And at the same time, you put a SIM card inside and you broadcast Wi-Fi for up to 10 devices.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, all powered by the sun. It charges for 4 to 5 hours and lasts for 16 to 21 hours. All patented by us at LE Technologies, US patent 62114-953.
Oh, fantastic. So I love the element around the Wi-Fi as well, up to 10 devices. So SIM card with data and you're good to go. Yes. It sounds as if this is quite designed for the African market. Yes, what is the thinking behind the design and the patent that then followed?
Okay, so what we saw was there's 1 billion people in Africa. To date, they say there's about 950 million mobile phones. However, 70% of Africa doesn't have electricity. That didn't really make sense to me. In Africa alone, if we get sunlight for about 326 days. And if we were to give solar energy just to North Africa alone, 0.8% of that solar energy could power up the European Union.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I thought, if you could combine mobile telephony with some sort of renewable energy, you might do something. So we combined the two. A solar
and
powered
what's
lantern.
the reaction by the market been like so far? We
actually got the patent only on February 2015, 11th, 2015. We got it stable about October last year. We're releasing it later this year.
Oh, that sounds absolutely fantastic. We'll be watching that story as it unfolds. Let's go to property now. Yes. What are you dabbling with in that space?
Okay, we handle corporate rental and student accommodation. In South Africa, we have student accommodation around Monash University, to which we lease out apartments with fully serviced with internet, furnished, access to go to and from Monash for those particular students in that area. And as well, we do corporate rental within the Lanseria area, and as well in Kinshasa and in Kananga in the DRC. So we're quite
You're quite broad
yes,
in
yes,
terms,
yes.
and of course you mentioned the DRC, and that brings us to your personal journey and your personal story.
Yes.
Take us home and tell us the story of how you moved from the DRC and how do we then get to this point here?
Perseverance. My parents, very entrepreneurial people. Congo, it was a time when Congo was going through what Congo was going through. Everybody knows the story about Congo and its war. And I was about 5 years old and my parents took us out and we moved to South Africa where we relocated. And yeah, it wasn't easy in the beginning, but you know, they fought through and gave us opportunities in different ways, and they always kept us to understand that being entrepreneurial is better than actually having a job. And,
right.
And he, especially my father, he would always try his hardest to put us in situations to say, okay, imagine I'm not here, what are you going to do? Yeah. And
because that could have been a real reality,
yes,
so
yes.
it wasn't too far-fetched to actually begin to think that way.
Exactly, but I think, you know, I can't really explain it as well as I've experienced it, but it's more the fact that I'm talking in anything. Today, usually parents will hide, you know, from school fees to when they're struggling with money to this. My parents were very, very open about everything to make sure that we completely understand what it means to survive. And from that, they would always push us in different avenues. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And, you know, you'd come up with different ideas. So, for example, my sister's in development, my brother's in media. I'm in
every way.
real estate and energy. My mother's in agriculture. My father's in telecommunications.
So the entrepreneurial base from a family perspective has been a huge influence.
Yes,
it sounds
yes,
like
definitely.
from the way you have embraced entrepreneurship. Let's talk a little bit, you know, staying with that journey. What has been the biggest inspiration for you now? I mean, as you move between sectors and sectors which appear unrelated for the most part, there must be some very real challenges, bridges that need to be crossed. How do you make sure that you're constantly taking one step forward?
A never give up attitude. I was raised to believe winners never quit, quitters never win. And when you stick with that attitude, irrespective of the terrain, you find a way. If there's a will, there's definitely a way. Yes, I can easily say that Congo has harder means in terms of doing business than South Africa, that's for sure. But one thing I've realized over time in the entrepreneurial space is if you can get into a terrain, look at it for what it is, not for what you want it to be, right? And attack it, you'll find revenue somewhere, somehow. Yeah. You understand? And I think that's the approach any entrepreneur who's willing to make a change should take, you know. Every terrain has its conditions, and it's up to you to navigate through that and make your win.
I think that's such a powerful insight, that every terrain has its conditions, instead of coming in expecting a certain condition and being paralyzed when you find that it isn't the way that you perceive it, because that's not the reality of being an entrepreneur. I'm picking up from your story as well that there's a huge continental play and a continental outlook in terms of where this business is going. Yes. What makes Africa exciting for you?
Oh, they call us capitalist cowboys. We are on virgin territory, about to, you know, show how Africa is run. It's a huge opportunity. It's what a time to be alive, to be honest.
What are you most excited about from a specific market's perspective?
Agriculture.
Okay.
I'm very, very interested in agriculture. I'm a portfolio entrepreneur myself. I get into different things, and I keep those industries stable in the best way that I can. Agriculture, I think, is definitely going to be what unlocks Africa in its position right now. It'll alleviate poverty in many ways.
What is it about agriculture? Is it going to be the technology? Is it going to be...
It's a combination of many things. For example, in the DRC right now, there's an agricultural industrial park that's being created called Parc Bukangalonzo. And essentially all the services and everything are in there. From electricity, there's about 56 megawatts available there. There's schools, there's roads, there's all of that. So how it works is the government itself has its industrial park, and it leases out land on this property in order for you to create, produce your services. Right. So it could be, they have a production facility, a processing facility, and a packaging facility, all incorporated for the particular client. So let's say I wanted to start fish farming tomorrow. I can go there rent out. They're the landlord. I'm the tenant. I put my services in place, and I utilize their services in order to push it out into the industry.
And it kind of makes agriculture so much more accessible, because one of the key things is that the entry barriers into the agricultural space, if you're going to be doing it commercially, really are something that can be a huge deterrent for entrepreneurs. So that's one of the things in the pipeline in terms of what you...
God willing.
God willing.
God willing.
I'm quite certain that you're going to, in your own words, attack the territory when you get in there. But again, I want to go back into, it seems to me that it's a natural progression for you to do work in the DRC and in South Africa. And if you look at agriculture now, which markets do you think are going to be the next markets to watch in terms of agricultural opportunities and development?
Congo, Uganda, Nigeria.
And what are they doing right that other markets...
Oh, Morocco as well. Yeah, Morocco. I think they're just taking a closer look to how other people are doing it and adapting it to their terrains and backing it up with funding. There's an unimaginable amount of funding available for agriculture right now. So with that kind of opportunity, it unlocks different thinkers, different doers, and that in itself will make those industries boom in those different territories. A good example, I'll go back to Congo again, is the investment behind this project is to create more and more agripreneurs within the Congolese market. I can't really speak on others, mainly because I understand my market the way I do, and from that, it will unlock a lot of potential in different industries. By this I mean, if we are creating a fish farm tomorrow, I'm still going to need energy for that farm. I'm still going to need some sort of procurement for that farm. I'm still going to need this and those services for that farm. So agriculture in itself is a turnkey solution, for lack of a better term.
It's almost like an enabler.
Yes, it really is.
And it allows other sectors to be activated as well.
It definitely does. Definitely does.
Thank you so much. That's a big thank you to Elijah Lubala. He is the founder of Nasera Real Estate, but we also know that he is the founder of Eli Technologies, amongst other business ventures. One thing that has stood out for me in this conversation is that we need to remember that every terrain has its conditions, and it's up to you to figure out how you're going to navigate that. And I hope that's also useful to you as you embark and continue your own journey of entrepreneurship. Thank you so much, guys, for making the time to watch this episode of Young Money, partnering up with Forbes Africa 30 Under 30. We're going to bring you 2 more exciting entrepreneurs in the next show, so please do not miss that. Remember, if you don't have your copy, it's on shelves already, so please make sure that you get your hands on that. We're looking forward to speaking to Charlene, Mahira, Newlands, as well as Rachel Valava, who are going to be featured in the next show. Until next time, remember, keep making that chankura. It's goodbye. Hello and welcome to Young Money. I'm Nozi Pombandra. Yes, you've guessed it. We're bringing you another installment of the exciting partnership between Young Money and Forbes Africa 30 Under 30. If you haven't seen the list yet, please do get your copy. It has been out for a while now. These are some of Africa's 30 most exciting entrepreneurs. You need to learn what they're doing, and you certainly need to hear their stories. We're bringing you 2 of these entrepreneurs, and today we're joined by Kheti Ngwenya. He is the founder of School Media. Kheti, so awesome to meet you and to really get your story. But let's go back to the beginning, back to the days when you were selling sunglasses to your teachers. What was the first business, though, that you were involved in?
That was one of the first businesses I was involved in, and the small business was selling silkworms. That was when I was much younger, and mulberry leaves for the silkworms.
Was this from a science project, and then you like, bam, that's a business?
Yeah, and then all the kids really liked keeping silkworms as pets, and we used to feed them mulberry leaves. So I started selling mulberry leaves, then eventually started selling silkworms to all the learners in school. Yeah, and then I sold firecrackers on weekends with my aunt in December.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so we moved from silkworms to sunglasses to firecrackers, and today we're talking about a whole different company. Talk to us a little bit about the media company that you run today.
Yeah, so School Media is a youth marketing business. We started in 2010. So we've been running just for over 7 years now with complement staff of 8 full-time staff. And basically what we do is we've got access to advertise in schools across the country. So we provide brands, government, organizations, NGOs, access to be able to communicate to the youth. So in a form of activation or in an assembly way or just branding on the actual school walls. And then part of the revenue goes back to help benefit the school.
Right. How did you see this opportunity?
I've always wanted to get the right information to young people.
Yeah.
And when I found out getting information, it's actually branding and advertising. So for you to be able to advertise, you can't just advertise in a school. Some way or another they have to benefit because the brand is benefiting. So we basically the conduit between the brands and the school community.
And how successful has the business been? I've seen some numbers being branded about around turnover in the thousands of dollars. But give us a sense about your growth journey in the business. What's that been like?
It's been very good, tough. But I mean, in the first year it wasn't so good, as you know. The second year was much better. And ever since we've just been growing then, so slowly growing the business over the years and getting more clients. And the more people know about us and the more people work with us, they refer us to other clients seeing the work that we do. And people don't actually know about this platform.
Yeah.
No one actually knows that you can reach youth. They don't know how you reach schools. Everybody thinks it's a lot of red tape when you're actually targeting schools. But as the more that people know about us, that we have a partnership with the National Association of School Governing Bodies, and that's 9,000 schools across the country.
And that's a big market. If you're trying
100%.
to get some sort of messaging or communication, 9,000 schools across the country is absolutely massive.
Yes.
And your starting point is where? Are these township schools or these urban schools?
We've got a mix. It's a mix, but majority of the schools is township schools because that's where I felt the information needed to be. And then over the years as we built, we found some of our clients, they said, look, do you have more schools in the suburbs? And we went out on and just sourcing schools. That was around in 2013, where we sourced more suburb schools for clients. But that's not where the focus is. The focus is getting the right information to the youth that need it.
And how do you decide, Kheti, what is right? Because on the one hand, if I was a company and I was really just trying to push product and I felt that the student or young pupil market was the ideal market, I tried to use your services to get to them. Is there some sort of benchmark or filtering that you would?
100%. So through our partnership with the association, it's all dependent on what's beneficial to the youth. So it's not Adidas coming in and saying, buy Adidas now and you'll get this and that. So it's more of competitions, taking pictures, engaging, getting celebrities involved, getting soccer players to come and play. So bringing the sports brand alive in the school and just bringing opportunities. So yet where there was no activity, then here comes a famous soccer player coming to the school and engaging.
And for them, that's a huge influencer,
it's a huge benefit. And then just the messaging around that they place in the school won't just be about branding. It's also about competition, so getting learners engaged in different activities, not just a sales drive in action.
So let's go back to Kheti's journey. Where does the inspiration come from to keep looking for these different business opportunities?
I guess I enjoy, that's what I enjoy doing. I rely on myself and that's why I can't actually I haven't worked for anyone yet.
Never been employed?
I've never been employed yet. I worked with my aunt, but that was more gaining experience. I wasn't paid for that until I eventually said, look, can I start my own stand and sell firecrackers outside the store instead? You know, and then she borrowed me money with my mom, and that's when I started going.
And of course we have moments like these where we're celebrating an incredible achievement of being part of this list, but certainly and surely it hasn't been an easy journey throughout. If you could think back to some of the toughest moments if there were any? What were those? And most importantly, what was the key lesson that you learned from them?
Mainly, there's a lot. There's financial difficulties. Any entrepreneur faces financial difficulties, and learning how to get out of those and believing in yourself to get out of that. And there's also, I think, financial challenges, and also just challenges with getting into, I mean, me securing the schools and that was quite a long journey.
What is the hardest thing about that? What is it that makes schools a bit hesitant to engage with business?
As well, my age. I mean, I came across very young. So a lot of people say when you're young, you are able to do more and get more done, which is not true, because
the trust issues, right?
The trust issues, and real men know who they want to do business with. The older people that have been in business, they've all got friends. So it's trying to break into those relationships. And I mean, also in my background, not coming from, I haven't studied in further education, and you find a lot of people that are in the industry know each other and are able to refer to each other for different business opportunities, and it makes it easier to get around. So building the relationships is quite difficult.
And I think that's such a valuable insight that you're sharing with us, because relationships are constantly coming up as one of the most important variables if you're going to succeed as a young entrepreneur. And of course, you need to manage those relationships. Again, share with us maybe a key lesson around managing relationships and how you've ensured that you not only break through, attract, but you've also retained the relationships that you've got.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's always been about staying true to what you say. Don't renege on things. Stick to what you say and get it done. Deliver. Show that you're doing the work, and I guess have respect for everyone. I know that's a bit cliche, but it's just
as simple as that, right?
Yeah, simple things that matter, and the most simplest things can damage, can break or make you. You know, the smallest things. So it's always just having that small amount of respect, and don't, because you're used to someone and you know them and you go for drinks or whatever with them, and don't think you can take advantage of that. So never take advantage of the
respect the relationship as well.
Exactly.
Even if it's personal, you've got to respect the business that comes from the relationship.
It's true.
So you've started with a whole range of businesses. We're now looking at a very successful media company that sits as an intermediary between schools and businesses. What's next?
What's next?
For you,
I guess we want to expand into Africa. So that's the main thing. Obviously, a lot of brands that are here, they want to be in Africa, and African markets are growing, and that's where we want to be. So that's another reason why we're in the township, because the market is growing and people are earning more and jobs are being created. So it's something that's happening over time. So that's why we placed there and sitting there.
And of course, Africa is always possibly, considered the next step once you have a market in South Africa. Is there any place in Africa that you're particularly excited about, that you're like, this is the first stop that I think we would grow into?
I guess Nigeria, because of the population. I mean, numbers is always the key.
So you're not going to Namibia, for example?
No, neither Botswana, not yet.
No.
We are actually in Botswana. We've done some projects in Botswana for some of our clients, and Swaziland. But what excites me is Nigeria, and also east of Africa, Kenya. So that's what's exciting times for me.
What's been your proudest moment, Kleti, in the journey that you've been on? One of our initiatives, that we did 2015 or 16, we hosted the president of the country on a Learn Without Fear campaign. So it was more of a social initiative, and a project that we're doing now with the Castle of Good Hope. Over and above of all the projects that we've done, it's one of the projects that I like because it gets history to the learners. So it's a very impactful campaign. It's about the Castle of Good Hope, and no one knows about the Castle of Good Hope. Not a lot of people know about the Castle of Good Hope, and they don't know about the histories around that and how it's been the governance of South Africa for a very long time. And that's where formalities in South Africa started, and governance, and the first colonial building, the first place where forced removals were made. And we do that in a history, in a timeline in the schools. So learners are able to learn this history
and not only learn about Jan van Riebeck, but also the kings that were in there, who they are, their actual names.
Thank you so much, Fetty. And there you have it. An informed South Africa is an independent South Africa, and certainly that rings true if we're going to be allowing for the surfaces of new stories and new narratives. And as Fetty says, it's when we know more that we are able to innovate more. His name is Fetty Ngwenya. He is the founder of School Media, a beautiful story that started off with selling firecrackers, silkworms, as well as sunglasses to teachers, and today is connecting the world of business with the school community. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, more Young Money meets Forbes Africa 30 under 30. Welcome back to Young Money. If you've just joined us, it is our special broadcast seeing the team from Young Money coming together and collaborating with Forbes Africa 30 under 30. And this, of course, is because the Forbes Africa 30 under 30 list is out. So if you haven't seen the list and you haven't got your copy, you are certainly being left behind. You should be suffering from serious FOMO at this stage. And we've been bringing you some of the most exciting entrepreneurs and exciting voices. As a woman, I'm doubly excited that we're actually going to be speaking to Charlene Mahira in Newlands now, and she runs a number of businesses, and I think I'm going to let her walk us through her portfolio. Thank you so much, Charlene, for joining us. What are you busy with?
Well, like you said, I'm really busy with a lot of things, and featured one of them on Forbes 30 under 30, my events company, that's Conquered Events, which really has been my baby that I started when I came from a deep, having everything and losing almost everything I had, and now I had to start from scratch to really make something of myself.
So I'm loving how the story is coming along. So let's go back to the beginning. Before you lost everything, what was happening in Charlene's life then, and how do you get to the point where everything is lost? And then we'll talk about Conquered Events and everything else that you've done since then.
Well, I started working for my dad when I was 14 years old, not because I wanted to. It was one of those where you have to work. You can't be at home after school watching TV. You should have something to do.
And how old are you now at that stage?
Oh, I was 14 years.
14,
yeah. So in my head, I was like, what do you want me to do at work? But he said to me, come to work. Do what you think you can do.
Yeah.
And that time, I didn't know what exactly wanted me to do. I mean, it's unlike these days, kids can use computers at an early age. At that time, I wasn't none of that. I wasn't a computer pro. So when I got there the first time, he said to me, I went to work, and I said, okay, so what do you want me to do? With attitude, like, okay, I'm here.
I've arrived.
Yes, tell me. And he said to me, make tea for my clients, if that's what you can do. I'm like, oh my goodness. So every time for about 3 to 4 months, I was making tea for his clients until I was tired of it. And I started to teach myself to do things on the computer. So everything he gave to his reception list, I was like, give it to me. I'm going to try to do the same. And then I managed to do it. And he'd be like, okay, you're getting there. And then slowly he started to give me a bit of work. And I managed to do it. That's when I started to earn 2,000 Rand. That was my first salary.
Quite a bit of money probably at that young age, right?
To buy clothes. That's exciting. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's definitely working. So that motivated me to say, okay, this is working. At least my dad is paying me something. So let me work a bit more.
And earn more, maybe.
And more, exactly. Yeah. So I started to do that. I was typing for a couple of years until he threw me in the deep end. So he was doing work for different big organizations, and he would say, come with me, I'm doing this presentation. All you have to do is to sit down and operate the computer. I was like, okay, not bad.
Do that.
At least I'm not making tea for the clients, I'm happy. And then one day he said to me, we walked in one of his presentations, and it was a boardroom filled with people. It was about 14 or 15 people, I remember. And then he said to me, he went in front, and then he goes, I'm going to call on Shali to present the introduction. I'm looking, I'm like, oh my goodness, all these professional people. I'm not even that educated. How do you want me to speak in front of all these people? So I got up and I had to do the introduction.
Wow.
He threw me in the deep end. I didn't see it coming. And then he said, just do it. And from then on, I was not scared. Literally, anything that he threw my way, I felt like I was ready for it. And I couldn't get it wrong that day because he was presenting for him to get a contract for that specific job. So it mattered. I knew what it meant for him.
So how do we move from you beginning to get it and you're starting to work to losing it all?
Oh my word, it was terrible because, you know, it was a family business. Though it was big enough, but it was a family business and it was built on my father. He was the brand. So if the clients did not see him,
they didn't feel like they were getting
didn't
the
feel
brand.
comfortable. Exactly. So, you know, he had a stroke. He was driving from Limpopo and he had a stroke. So, oh my goodness, the whole world shut down, literally. So it came to now. I tried to get up and say, okay, let me try and run the projects because I was part of the company for a while and I kind of know what's going on, so maybe I can pull it off. But it did not succeed. You know, they felt comfortable with him overseeing everything. So it got to the point where the company went to a standstill. And you know, we went through a point where you would have maybe 20 Rand in your pocket and you just have to make it to the next day. And so it got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to now get up and I need to do something. I need to now do something which I can do it and I don't need, my dad cannot be there anyway and there were crazy bills, you know, and just needing to continue with a lot of things. So it came from having everything and losing it all, and now having to start a company when you don't have money in your pocket. So, you know, it was really a blow. It's not something that we were expecting, of course, but
you got up from it, right? And you saw an opportunity in the crisis. And so today we will talk about a range of businesses. Talk to us about the businesses that you then built out of that crisis.
Well, the first one that I started off was Loshwazi. We started that in Zimbabwe. And, you know, we saw the need of mineral water because of the situation. People were no longer trusting water that, you know, that they were getting. So a lot of people were buying water. So we're like, okay, this is a good opportunity. So he was my boyfriend then, my husband now. And I needed to put in about $10,000 to get a few things rolling. So I had to work, do a few small jobs that I was still getting under my dad's companies, you know, like your business plans, etc., the smaller things. And then, you know, I would save that money and
then invest it into the new business.
Invested into the new business and try to move on. I had to talk to suppliers. You know, you don't have a track record with them, and you now need to make them believe that, listen, I just need a small time period. You give me the bottles and I'll be able to, you know, to pay you with time. So it was very hard to convince the suppliers to get something,
to trust you,
exactly, to get something on credit without the record. But you know, I managed to succeed to doing that, and then went from door to door, knocking on doors to say, do you want to try our brand? Like, try it. The water is perfect. You know, you can even visit us, because I turned my dad's house into the factory now.
Into a bottling plant of sorts.
Yes. So I had no choice. I had to turn the house, because that's what I had. I had to work with what I had. So took the house, turned it around, like, this is what we're going to work with. So if you want, come visit. It's clean. You can see where everything is done.
So that took off.
That
really
took
well.
off.
And the then boyfriend turned husband was also probably part of the next business.
So yes, he was part of the next business that came up, which is Conquered Events.
Yes.
Because now when you know, when we're getting married, it was one of those things where I'm still in my situation where I value every cent. Like, I'm not getting a wedding planner to do this. I'm going to plan my own wedding. I'm like, don't worry, I will do it. I've got this under control. And funny enough, I had so much fun doing it. And I was like, oh wow, this is actually lucrative, because the budget we had, I managed to pull it off less than that budget. I'm like, but this is so much fun. And then from then on, after my first wedding, about a month and a half later, one of my friends said, listen, she works for Cartier. She's like, please do it. Can you do my wedding for me? Your wedding was beautiful. So that's how it all started. And it was a fun process. And from then on, you know, the Conquered events boosted up. That's how it started. It wasn't something in my line that I thought that I would get into, but through planning my wedding, I found myself in that business.
Your story and your journey has been absolutely phenomenal and so exciting. If you were to think back to this journey, what have been the biggest lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur that you believe these lessons have led to the success and cemented the success I have today?
Well, you know, one of the things that I noticed when you are in business trying to sign a contract or get something done, number one, your appearance is everything. Unfortunately or fortunately, you can't try to go and convince someone to sign with you when you don't look the part. You don't look the part. So even if you have your own problems, even if you have wardrobe problems, look for those few outfits that make you look worth it. So that as you walk into that office and you want to seal that deal, they will also take you seriously. And I feel like that's one of the challenges many people face, you know, just dress whatever, be whatever. You need to look the part. Even if you don't have $1 million in your account, you better look like it. Otherwise, that's not gonna come your way. No one is gonna trust you with $1 million to handle their project if you look like a 10 rand note. That. Exactly. So that's one, you know, besides talking right, putting all your facts correct, the look also plays the part. Because if someone is going to trust you with their money, then you better look like a person who understands it and can handle it.
Be yourself, prove yourself. These are the words from Charlene Mahira Newlands. She is a founder of Conquered Events, including a number of other businesses. But her story of coming from having everything, losing it all, and finding the willpower to get up and fight and build new businesses has been absolutely inspirational. And she says, if you don't look like $1 million, nobody's going to trust you with $1 million. And that's how we close off the show. It's a big thank you to Forbes Africa 30 Under 30 for allowing us to bring to you some of the most exciting voices that have been featured in this year's list. Thank you, Forbes Africa. And of course, thank you to you for watching. Now, remember, if you want us to come to you, it's really easy. All you need to do is just follow me on Twitter. It's @TheRealNozy or @CNBC Africa. That's me almost getting fired. And remember, all we want for you and your business is for you to keep making lots of chankura. Until next time, it's goodbye.